the Central Bowlers Alliance Men's U.S. Open Qualifying Tournament, December 11th, 1994. We're coming to you today from the Village North Lanes in Brooklyn Park, Minnesota. Dave Kaiser along with Tom Corbett, the tournament director. We want to fill you in briefly on the basics of this tournament, and we'll get to some great bowling in just a second. First of all, I mentioned it is the U.S. Open Qualifying. Let's take a look at what exactly that means. The first place finisher out of the bowling today will automatically have a paid trip to the U.S. Open, which is coming up in Troy, Michigan. And then the second and third place finishers will have a U.S. Open spot where they can buy themselves that spot, but they do have a reserved spot. And this is big bowling, folks. The U.S. Open is April 2nd through the 8th, and that is in Troy, Michigan. Tom, what does it mean to these bowlers to have that chance to be able to go to the U.S. Open?
It means a whole lot, Dave. This is a national BPA U.S. Open where all the pro bowlers are competing against, plus along with the top bowlers from every state sends one. Every state has a U.S. Open qualifying, and this is big time. This is big time bowling, right above the CBA, which is the best in the upper Midwest, and the next level is the pro bowlers.
Okay, and we have got one of those bowlers who was champion here last year that's here again today, and you'll see him in just a few minutes. By the way, there is some prize money we should probably mention as well. This is a regular stop on the CBA tournament. Prize money breaks down like this: $1,200 for first place, $700 for second, $600 for third, $500 for fourth, and $400 for fifth. So not only is the pressure on to qualify for the U.S. Open as well, the pressure's on for that prize money. Let's talk a little bit about the bowlers. We mentioned them just a moment ago that we've got one that's back. Take us through the top five, Tom.
First of all, qualifying fifth after our 10 games of bowling yesterday and the 12 games of match play today, we have Jeff Smith. He's a little left-hander from Little Falls. He is a part-time PBA player. He has won a couple of regional tournaments. He will be bowling against Clark Poelzer, who is kind of a veteran in the CBA's bowling. He has 5 CBA titles. To the newcomer who's qualified third right now, pretty big left-hander from Mankato. This is his first ever Stepladder finals. He'll be bowling against the second place finisher, which is Todd Savoy. He's from Superior, Wisconsin. He has 5 previous CBA titles. And our leader right now is Fietek, who is the defending U.S. Open champion. So he's looking to go to the tournament again.
You bet. So he figured out how to do it last year. We'll see if he can do it again this year. A couple other notes to get you coming back on. Carl and Todd, their last game of the positioning round, tied at 238. And so those two would be very interested to see each other again, I bet, as the tournament goes on. We're all set. We hope you are. We'll be back with bowling right here on Cable 12 right after this. Park, Minnesota. Dave Kaiser along with Tom Corbett for the Central Bowlers Alliance U.S. Open Qualifying for the state of Minnesota. And you see Jeff Smith. We have seen him before against Carl Poelzer. Jeff was the 5th place qualifier, or Clark, I'm sorry. Carl will come later. Clark Poelzer was the 4th place qualifier, and Clark will choose to go first. He'll be on lane 5. More about the lanes in just a moment. We're underway, match 1.
Oh, real good opening shot by Clark there.
Tom, these two lanes have not been bowled on today, correct?
Correct. We bowled on lanes 13 through 36 for the 12 games of match play, and we saved this one for this television finals. The bowlers did get 15 or 20 minutes of practice on the pair, so they have an idea, and they should be pretty much the same.
Clark spent a lot of extra time up there trying to find the line. He must have got on his first shot. Here's Jeff Smith, leaving the 7-pin.
It's kind of a half a 7, you would say, where the 4-pin just kind of fell into the channel and didn't kind of... Let's see if we can see what he does here and watch the 4-pin. It just kind of lays over and it just doesn't snap out the 7-pin. Changes balls with a harder ball and goes pretty straight at it and picks up the spare.
Just to tell you what they did in the last game before the position or the TV round here, Smith with the 215, he beat Steve Holke, who had a 213. And going into that match, Jeff was behind by 7 pins, or ahead by 7, so he solidified his position and got on the TV with a nice finish.
Ooh, a solid 9.
Saw a few of those down at the other end too, some solid 5s. The pin's a little bit stubborn.
Well, what happened in this shot here, the 5-pin would have, instead of the 5 was supposed to hit the 9-pin, and it drove straight back and just missed it. Good shot. He can't do anything better than that. Just pick up a spare and go to the next frame.
Should mention as well for Jeff there, no lack of excitement or intensity when this gentleman bowls. Watching him down in that last game down at the other end of the alley, he was jumping and really getting into it because he knew he had to come through to get that 5th spot and have any type of a chance to move up the ladder today.
Well, as we mentioned before, Jeff has bowled. He does bowl part-time on the PBA Tour, which is the national top. He has bowled the CBAs before. He has one previous title that he won in Earl Brown about 5-6 years ago.
Clark looking for 2. This time the 10-pin.
Pretty much the same shot as Jeff threw on that lane, where on the right-hand side, now the 6-pin just kind of fell into the channel and didn't snap out the 10.
Tom, you mentioned Clark, one of the veterans on the tour.
Clark has been bowling these CBA tournaments for a better part of about 20 years. He has 5 titles. He is the current vice president of the CBA on our board of directors. So he also had the choice of whether he wanted to start or finish this match, or what lane he wanted to finish on, and it was a big mistake for Clark. That's not like him. He is a really good spare shooter. So he had the choice if he wanted to start or finish, so he elected to start on the left, which means he would finish on the right lane, thinking he'd like the right lane better.
But after that, he may be having second thoughts, although he threw a very good first ball. So Clark will try to gather things back together here after opening the second. Smith with 2 spares.
Clark is very deliberate, takes his time, real steady. Well, as you mentioned earlier, he spent a little extra time up there practicing, hoping he would get lined up on the pair, and he's not quite comfortable. He tried to help that one up to the pocket a little bit more, so see if he watches. Oh, yeah, it just went high, right through the nose there. He tried to make sure that he got up higher in the pocket to snap out the 10, and it just overcompensated him. But he should learn from the mistake he made on the right lane on the spare shot and pick this one up.
I would guess the chances of conversion are very good here, but he takes it the same way again. And he had to take a second look at it.
I think he's a little lost right now. Both of those hooked a lot earlier than he thought on a spare shot. So let's watch his ball go down there. And he thought about middle lane. It's supposed to be fading over to the right, and he throws it end over end, but it started to hook away, and that's not the way you want to pick it up. You want to have both pins hit by the ball. See if Jeff can jump on this right now. And he is that type of bowler.
That's right. He will jump at the chance.
Not going to let anybody, somebody gives him a break like that, he's going to jump right on it. And now if he puts another strike added to his other one, he's got a real big lead.
And there you see Jeff from Little Falls, Minnesota, but does make the trip down here to enter into these tournaments, and we have seen him before on Cable 12, and we'll see what he can do today. 2 spares, a strike, 4th frame. That one covered about all the lane, Tom.
I think he swung that one out a little more, caught all of it, and hooked back. Let's see if we can watch this thing. I think he swung it out a little bit further. Nice, good, strong follow-through. Had those pins just flying around there, no problem there. Clark needs to find something here right now. Get the ball east into the pocket. The lane might be a little bit tighter for him, and he's definitely wondering what he should do now.
The pressure is bad enough, but if you go up there the first couple frames and can't quite get the line, it gets much worse real quick.
It's real tough, but like we mentioned, he's a veteran bowler, and he's been in this position before. It's only the 4th frame, so he's just going to find something here and put some pressure on Jeff. Covers it nicely.
Well, that's got to make him feel a little better. Now we'll head back over to lane 4, up in the 5th frame. Just looking to start something here. Clark from Arden Hills, Minnesota. So another local bowler, and we have quite a few of those that will be appearing for you today.
Like I mentioned, he's no stranger to winning. He has 5 previous titles, along with 2 St. Paul City All-Events titles, 1 Minneapolis City All-Events titles. He's got a couple of St. Paul City doubles titles, and a lot of team events that he's been on, and he captained the team for quite a while. Let's watch this shot by Clark here. Good follow through, nice roll on the ball, and got a nice up into the pocket. So maybe he's loose now. Maybe he's found a shot.
Got rid of all the bad ones. Now here's Jeff coming up in lane 6 for the 5th frame, working on 2 strikes. Gives it a big tug, and again comes all the way back.
Another good shot by Jeff. I don't think he got that one out as far as he did on the 4th frame last time, but he's got a pretty good shot right now. Let's watch this one here. And yeah, I didn't get it quite out as far as he did on the left lane, but you're right. He tugged it a little, held the pocket. There's some oil carry down the middle of the lane. Little dryer boards outside. He just wants to make a good shot right here, and if the pins fall, they do. If not, he tripped out a 6-pin. I think he feels a little lucky there.
He looked back to somebody here in the crowd.
Let's watch this shot. He probably didn't get this one out as far either. He hooked high, tripped out the 6.
There's probably some opponent back there that he's done that to before, either today or yesterday.
Or sometime in the past.
That's right. Still has that shot. 4 in a row for Smith. Clark working on a double.
Well, that was the tighter lane for Clark, and he just wanted to help it up there, make sure he got it up into the pockets. And let's see if we can see if he did anything here. He rolled it good, and I think he might have just moved, trying to get swung the ball a little bit more. He hit the dry and hooked a little high for him. He would just go for the 2 pins right here. He'll try and pick it up, but its odds are pretty slim to do it.
Oh, there he got that right-hand side of the lane. He's chuckling a little that he hadn't been able to, but he got it that time. Unfortunately, there was the 7-pin remaining, so he has 85 in the 6th frame, and certainly probably the lowest game he's had over the weekend here.
Yes, being that he bowled the 10 games yesterday and 12 games today. He averaged 224 yesterday for 10 and 227 for his 12 games today, so he's not up to his average at all yet.
It can happen to anybody, I guess, is the lesson here for Clark.
Yes.
Leaves the 7-pin, lane 5.
He has some pretty high scores to his credit, too. I know he's a high game at 300. I think he's got 5 or 6 of them. 792 for a high series and a 223 for end-of-year average. So, but that's only an average, and you can have the good games along with the bad ones.
Going for the 7-pin. Easily takes care of that. Smith quickly up.
Jeff has some pretty impressive statistics here, too, Dave. He's got 300, of course, for a high game. Also a 216 end-of-year high average. He has 5 800-plus series with a high of 856, which is a tremendous series. For 3 games being as perfect as 900. He left a half 7-pin again, as we call it, or a flat 7. We watch that 4-pin and see just kind of lay down in the channel and not snap it out. The ball's half pocket. That's why you leave him. Change balls, he'll pick it up. As we mentioned, Jeff bowls on the national tour part-time, professional bowlers. He's made the top 24 of the national tour. This is bowling against the likes of back then. So we've been bowling, Walter Ray Williams bowls a lot, Pete Weber, and all these guys. And his best finish was 10th.
Not bad at all.
No.
Follows up the spare with a strike in the 8th frame. So Jeff well in control of this game. What's his thinking now, Tom?
He just wants to stay loose, keep his arm swing good, and just make good shots, because even though this game is pretty much over, he's won this game, the next one is not going to be as easy. At least he's got to keep that attitude that it's not going to be as easy. Work hard. Let up.
6 has been the trouble lane for Clark, and it remains so. He gets some help there, but just never found the range on 6, and after a tough start.
Let's watch this shot over there, and the same thing he did last time on this lane, a little bit high. Just going to mention, I think Clark wants to quit and finishing the game.
He's probably already got the shoes untied here.
I think I'll discuss it with him after.
There's no early exit provision for the bowling here. You have to finish all 10.
Yep, you have to do that. Now, the reason why we do that, too, is if he was to not finish and not make Jeff bowl the rest of the game, and it could be 2 or 3 more shots for Jeff, and they make him a little bit, say, more tired or something. And so the next bowler coming on, these guys have to bowl their whole 10th frame. So that's...
Five's been okay for Clark. Well, good thing I said that when I did. Clark's thinking the same thing.
We can see what Clark did here. He's going to take this tape and he's going to watch it, and then he'll analyze it real well too, and maybe something will click and he'll realize what he did or didn't do. But he was lost to start with. He said that. He was trying to get some extra shots in there, and not one of his better games. But he is a gentleman, and he'll take it lightly.
He's cheering Jeff on.
He will be back next month to bowl again.
I'm sure. So Jeff now comes up on lane 6 in the 9th frame, working on a strike. Possible 258. Takes the strike there.
Pretty relaxed now. Now he can just throw the ball. So let's watch this shot again by Jeff. Nice, good follow through. Playing right around the second arrow. Not too much swing, so he doesn't want to cover too many boards. Keep it pretty much on line. As he just swung one out a little bit further on the left lane, it didn't quite come back. I mean, he might have been just doing an area check to see if he had that much more room to the left. So sometimes if you get more swing area like that, scores can go a lot higher.
Jeff now looking to pick up the spare in the 10th. Then we have one more shot, and Steve Thompson waiting in the wings. 217 now in the 9th frame. Jeff with the possible 237. And Clark's going to check in the 150-60 range, so it was over a while ago.
Clark just wants to go up and throw his 10th frame and leave. Good game by Jeff.
Super game, 236. Starts things out. He's going to need one of those big series if he's going to keep moving along here. It's going to be the battle of the left-handers in the next game as Steve Thompson, a big left-hander, will come in.
Yes, the veteran left-hander in Jeff Smith against the newcomer in Steve Thompson. This is his second CBA tournament in his first stepladder finals. There's Clark in his strike.
Just to let everyone know he can do it.
He'll just get up there, throw the ball, and probably get another strike and another.
And this also coming on lane 6. His troubled lane.
I think that strike he got was a mistake.
Well, like we said earlier, it can happen to anyone, and here you've seen someone that's been averaging in the 220s all weekend.
To have 150, that's he's probably a little embarrassed on that, but that's okay. It happened, like I said, to the best of them, and he'll be back next month to bowl again.
So there you have it. Match 1. Not much drama. Clark just couldn't find it. And Jeff Smith, 236, so he'll be heading on. And he's going to head down and shake a few hands, and Steve Thompson will warm up. We'll be back with match 2 in just a moment. Welcome back to Village North Plains. Dave Kaiser along with Tom Corbett to bring you match number 2 in the stepladder final for the US Open Qualifying for the state of Minnesota in 1994. The winner here, all-paid spot to go to Troy, Michigan, and this is Jeff Smith, our winner in match 1. Battle of the lefties coming up here. Smith, first ball, lane 5.
Oh. Steve Thompson coming in had the choice of how he wanted to finish, if he wanted to finish first or finish last. So he elected to have Jeff start the match, so he would finish, so Steve would finish first. Sometimes that's a plus and sometimes it's not. It all depends on where you feel more comfortable or which lane you like better.
Little strategy there for Steve, who you mentioned at the end of the last game. He is a relative newcomer to this.
He's the big left-hander against the little left-hander. He's wearing his Viking shirt. I don't know how they're doing right now. Let's say he hooks the ball a little bit more than Jeff. A little more, covers a little more boards, and his first shot on the television didn't look too bad, just went a little high. Let's see if we can watch this one, and didn't quite, I don't think he got it out as far as he wanted to. He wanted to help it up to the pocket to make sure he hit that head pin the first shot. Give him a couple frames, and I think he'll relax, and should have a good match.
It's going to need to hurry. Oh boy.
He feels lucky on that one.
Got the whole body into that one and pulled it over there.
Let's watch this shot in the spare. Yeah, he just caught that 6-pin and hit the 10.
Not textbook, but it's down. Now we'll head over to 5 and see if he can do a little better there in his practice shots. He was crossing over here on 5.
I think he swung that one out a little bit more. Came back a little bit high, leave that 6-pin. Better shot than on the right lane, but he still needs to move his feet a little bit or throw a little bit harder. See if we can watch this shot here by Steve. Yeah, he got that one out a little bit further, and he hit the dry area and hooked high. We watched Jeff do that last game, too. I think he's doing when Jeff was doing a little area check and seeing how much room they had out there. So he should pick up this spare and... Whoop. Spoke too soon. He didn't quite... he almost missed the 6-pin on the right lane on the left side of it, so he thought he'd help it, and then he missed the 6-pin on the right side. You can tell he's a little nervous, but Jeff having more of a compact game, a shorter arm swing, and keeps the ball straighter, doesn't get into much trouble as compared to Steve.
And when Clark had trouble in game 1, he jumped on it. Let's see what he does here. He does again.
Same thing.
Mr. Smith knows how to take advantage. If your opponent has a little trouble, you come right back with a strike.
Watch this shot by Jeff. He's playing right around second arrow, swinging out a little bit, and all 10 pins in the down, and just solid strike. I'll look for him to hit the pocket here again. Like I said, a nice compact game. Keeps his wrist pretty much underneath the ball and goes straight up through it. He's going to be in the pocket probably every shot. Just matter if he's a little light or a little high, where he's either leave a 7-pin or this one came a little bit high, he left a 6-pin. That left lane might be hooking more. He left the same thing that Steve did over there.
Seems to be. How much do you think Steve watched Jeff that first game to see what was happening out there?
I'm not really sure if he watched him much because he was down practicing on another pair. He did get some practice shots before we started, so he might have had it in his own mind. He might have known which one was hooking more or not.
Well, they both had a little trouble on lane 5. It does seem to break a little bit more, as Tom said. Now for Steve, it's lane 6. Coming back after that open. Like to put them all down. Well, he's going to get another chance at it here.
There's that 6-pin again. Let's see what he does here. If he's just not going down the lane far enough with the ball. I think it's just starting up a little bit too soon, so he has to. Sometimes they have to change bowling balls. These guys have a lot of bowling balls with them, and you need one that goes down lane a little bit further. And there again, he didn't give it to room, and it hooks in the middle lane. He's shaking his head in pretty much the same manner that Clark was doing.
A lot of the bowlers that we've seen on the spare shots, Tom, have really flattened that second ball out, but Steve either doesn't seem to be flattening it as much, or maybe that's not his game to flatten it as much.
No, it doesn't look like it's his game to flatten it. Plus, remember, Clark had some trouble when he was shooting at his right side spares, and he would hit a spot there where it would hook 5. He missed that 10-pin on the left, and he missed that 6-10. And now, with his ball rotating towards the right, it hits that dry spot and hooks into the channel where Clark's was hooking left. And Jeff so far hasn't had that trouble, but I think he's been either leaving 7 pins or striking on the right lane, so he hasn't noticed that. And then to chop off a spare, it's just not going your way, and right now everything's going Jeff's way.
That's right. Jeff Smith seems to own the lanes down here.
Let's watch it. Just bad break. He missed it by just a little bit, and he chopped the thing straight back. Oh, he's pretty solid on this lane, and see, his ball doesn't hook as much, and it stays a little bit straighter, and it goes straight back. The pins go straight back instead of the ball hooking high. Just solid strike, just solid in the pocket.
Well, if Smith wasn't bowling well, we could blame it on the day or the lane or the conditions or something, the weather. But Smith has got it. Everyone else seems to be having trouble so far.
See what he does here. He left a 6-pin last time, and I think he just threw that one a little bit harder. Now he's pretty much command of both lanes right now. He's going to be tough. You hear pins falling down over inside. That's Carl Fietek there. And Todd Savoy bowling. Todd will be bowling the winner of this match, and then Carl will bowl the winner of that.
Well, that was a better ball. That time he had it there.
I think he just threw that one a little bit harder, made sure he didn't hook high, and it was more of a solid 7-pin, where that 4-pin just went up and flying around the 7. That was a real good shot. But sometimes when breaks aren't going your way, you don't carry those either. He needed a strike right there just to relax and also to have any kind of a chance.
Let's see how the left side works for him. There we go.
That was a pretty good shot.
So maybe that spot on the lane that Tom mentioned. We'll see as the day goes on here if there is trouble on lane 6 over on that right-hand side.
And we'll find out with the next 2 bowlers coming up are both right-handers, so we'll be able to find out if that's a tough lane or not. Now, if they're paying attention, and that is a tough lane, they might not want to finish on that lane. They will pick to choose to bowl and finish on the left lane. Another 7-pin by Steve. Another one where the 4-pin went up and around the 7. Should be pretty much the same shot. Let's see this. Same good rotation and a same 4-pin around. And he'll just pick up the spare and go to the next frame.
Well, more spare shooting practice than Steve probably was looking for in this final match.
Yeah.
6.
Steve did pretty well. Yesterday, he averaged 234 for his 10 games and averaged 224 for his 12 games today, winning 8 of those matches. So he bowled pretty well today, too. But as we mentioned, this is a different pair than was used all day today. We used the whole house yesterday. We had 141 bowlers, all of them bowling 10 games. We had 2 squads. They skipped 2 pair all the way back and forth across the house, and all the bowlers did mention the first 12 lanes here were a lot drier than the other 24. And it'll depend on when you hit these things, and they can affect your score. Some like them when they're dry, and some don't. But that's just part of the elements of the game where you don't see it on the lane, just like golf, where you see the sand traps in the trees. You don't see it on the bowling lane, but it's there. The dry spot is just like a sand trap.
And from the results so far, we can imagine that Jeff may be one of the dry lane likers. For Steve and Clark, maybe not.
Both of them, Clark throws the ball kind of slow, likes the ball where there's a lot of oil. He is real tough on that, likes to roll the ball. Jeff's more of a flinger type. Gets some good roll on it too, but he can send the ball down the lane.
Well, Smith just keeps moving along. 129 in the 6th frame now with a strike in the 7th. For Thompson, 65 in the 5th with the spare up in the 6th frame. Let's see if he can get 6 here.
Oh, he did. He got the 6. Trip 6.
The 6th and the 6th. That's been the troubled pin for him, and he's glad to see that go. Did not want to have to look at his
He's hit the pocket the last couple, and a little higher. He's had that 3-pin go off the wall, come back, and trip the 6-pin. So maybe get a couple in a row here just to have a good finish. Nobody's putting any pressure on Jeff at all in either one of these first 2 games.
There he is. That's the bowler we've seen the last few days. Now he knocks those few shots down, takes a seat, and we'll watch Smith again. Maybe learn a thing or two from Jeff on how he's handled these conditions that'll make Steve ready for the next time around.
Yes, it will. It will help him. Jeff keeps throwing the ball in the pocket. He's leaving a 7 or a 6-pin here and there, maybe a 9. He's got a real good shot right now, real good, real tough with these other 2 bowlers coming up. I think are over on the side watching him, and what they want to do now when they come up against him is put some pressure on him early and see how he can handle it there.
All right, it's been pressureless bowling for Smith so far.
That was the worst shot he's thrown out of his 2 games.
5 seems to give Jeff some trouble. He seems to put it out a little bit further on 5, and it doesn't quite get back. 6, he's locked in.
Those guys are watching on the right. I think they would. You're right. He's locked in at 6. They don't want Jeff finishing on lane 6. But the left lane is a little bit touchier. Gets the ball out a little bit more. Either skate or it will hit some dry boards and snap a little bit high, and they'll leave that 6-pin.
Smith, possible 228. He'll sit down and watch as Steve Thompson comes up, working on 2 strikes. Just looking for a solid finish here.
He just threw that one a little bit harder. He wanted to make sure he didn't go high and leave a 6-pin or anything, so he just kind of threw it hard. It's almost over. He kind of chuckled to himself after he came back. And
not much more he can do in this situation. They know they can hit those big games, but sometimes it just doesn't work.
He's out of the match. He's just kind of going through the motions. Jeff has to make sure he still keeps good and solid and fundamentally throw the ball good and not get lazy, so that when the next game comes, when he has a chance, when he has to have a good game or a good shot, he's going to have to make sure he can do it.
Exactly. It's easy to stay focused when you're in a tight game, but when you're ahead of your opponents by 40, 50, 60 pins each time, it's a little tough to stay in the game.
Yes, it is.
But he's watching Steve. He claps there as Steve picks up a strike. First ball in the 10th frame. Steve will look for a couple more strikes here and take that Viking shirt to the closest TV, I'm sure.
I think so.
See how his team does.
As you mentioned, this is Steve's second CBA tournament. He bowled last month. We had the tournament in Eau Claire. He made the top 24. I don't exactly remember where he ended up. I think pretty much in about the middle of the pack. Came back in this month to bowl and made the top 24 and then made a TV show, so he's all set. He's ready to bowl now.
Moving in the right direction. And if you can't win, you might as well learn. And I think that's what he's done today, is learned quite a lesson here as he ends up with a 161.
I think, yeah, he learned it quite a bit, especially watching a guy like Jeff bowl.
And he's going to take a seat and hang around and watch Smith throw his last few here.
And that's not really what Jeff wanted to do on his last shot. He doesn't get any more practice on this pair. As I mentioned, the incoming bowler gets 2 shots on each lane. Jeff can go to a different pair in practice if he'd like. But now you might have something in the back of his mind. Geez, what happened on the lane? Did it really hook that much? Did I throw it that bad? Which you mentioned, it's hard to stay focused when the match is out of hand.
Either that or strategy against the next 2 to confuse them about which lane to have him start or finish on. Because he's been solid on 6, but not that time. But it didn't matter. He finishes up with the 204 to Steve Thompson's 161. Smith now heads down, and there is his next competitor coming down. So with that win by Jeff Smith, we'll take a break, be back with the 3rd match in just a second. Back at Village North Bowl in Brooklyn Park, Minnesota. We're down to 3. And these are 2 of the 3. Jeff Smith, winner of the first 2 matches against Todd Savoy. More about Todd in a moment. Jeff's going to start first, lane 5.
Looks like he's Todd, as he elected to have Jeff start on the left lane. He wanted him to finish on the right. Maybe he saw that shot that he did in the 10th frame, realizing that the right lane is a little tougher. So pretty good move by Todd. He's a veteran.
And also, you mentioned just before we went off with that last match that the key for anyone against Jeff seems to be getting ahead early.
Well, we haven't seen anybody put any pressure on Jeff yet, so both matches were over in about the 5th frame, so we'll see what happens here. A little tougher spare for Jeff. Oh, good shot, good shot. He threw that one a little bit harder, and he left it 3-9. Ball taking them both out is okay. Here's our first look at Todd from Superior, Wisconsin. He's a real good bowler. He's been through a lot of stuff. Keeps the ball a lot straighter on line. He's also using a urethane ball rather than the resin balls that people are using. Let's watch this shot by Todd. He just kept it in right around 10, kind of straight up with the pocket. Didn't get that hook area where I mentioned the resin balls is pretty much a new breed of bowling balls. Been going around for the last couple of years, and when the lanes get kind of dry, it's tough to use the resin. And Todd can do so much with it, with his release and his hand position and his wrist. And he just keeps the ball up in play. That was just a little bit high. Let's watch this shot. I think it just hooked a little bit earlier and stayed high, but it didn't get too high for leaving a 4-6. He just left the 4-pin, so should be an easy spare. And
We mentioned we're down to our final three, and a point about Todd here in just a second. Shoots for the spare, easily covers. Todd, as you saw, from Superior, Wisconsin, but he does qualify.
He does qualify for the Minnesota US Open spot because he does bowl in a league in Minnesota. He bowls in Duluth as a regular league member.
So you see the three that will have the spots. Now the challenge is to go on and see who will have the all-paid spot, and for sure be heading to Troy.
Yes.
Well, maybe what we saw in the last frame was not a fluke.
Yeah, maybe that lane is hooking more. Let's watch his shot by Jeff and see what he did. He just got it in. He didn't get the ball down the lane. Now, maybe the lane is drying up a little bit, where he's going to have to make a move to the right with his feet, or else swing the ball or out more left or throw it harder. He's just going to take two here. He doesn't want to give away the count. Oh, and he almost picked it up. Now he's thinking to himself, geez, I was pretty locked in for 2 games, and let's watch this shot. He almost got, he was just going for the 2. He wanted to hit on the right, and he had that pin sliding across. Almost got it.
236 in his first game. Today, 204 in his second game. But now some trouble for Smith. Spare and open now in the third on his harder of the 2, lane 5. I'll give the man a challenge, and he comes back.
Well, he'll be up to the challenge. We'll just see what he does on the right lane. That's going to be the key one. That seems to be the tougher lane. Let's watch Todd now. He didn't have any trouble with it last time on this lane.
Striking a spare. Coming into lane 3, or frame 3.
Do the ball a little harder and make sure he doesn't go high. He'll carry more light ones than that. He's a unique bowler. He can hook the ball if he wants. He can cover a lot of boards. I mean, by standing left and throwing it from left to right and hook it back, or he can take a little harder ball and throw it straighter, and he keeps his wrist nice and underneath the ball, gets good roll on it, and keeps it all in play. As he just pulled one through the nose. As I mentioned, he's using a urethane ball, which I know a lot of bowlers give him some heat on this ball that he's using. Let's watch this. Yeah, he hit inside a second arrow. I don't think he wanted to quite get it in there. He should stand cross lane and have the ball take out both pins. Kind of flatten it out, throw it cross lane. Oh, he's going to the right side of it.
Well, an open each. A split each and an open each. Although Savoy's split obviously much more makeable.
I think he was trying to play on the right side. Figure he would hit some dry area and have the ball take up both pins that way. A lot of people will stand way to the left and throw cross lane at it. And let's watch Jeff now. This is his little tougher lane. He needs to make a good shot here. Probably throw it harder. And it started up a lot sooner. As soon as he let go, he knew that it started up now. He's going to have to, you saw what he did with his wrist right there. Let's watch this shot. I don't think it got down the lane. No, it started hooking right about to halfway down the lane. He was high as soon as he left his hand. If you saw him make a little bit of a thing with his wrist, he's going to try to do a little bit different hand position, stay maybe on the side of the ball, try to spin it, try to do something else to get the ball down the lane a little bit further so that it doesn't hook so soon. So when it does hook, it'll go to the pocket, not high.
Picks up the spare in the fourth frame. 46 in the third for Jeff. Looking to catch back up to Savoy after Smith's open in the second.
It's a real good shot there. I think he knows he's going to have to strike on that lane as often as possible. Let's watch this one. I think you got that 4-pin. It just goes right around the 7. Yep, just call a ringing 7, or right-handers will leave a ringing 10. Same type. You have the pin just flying around it. As I mentioned earlier, Dave, Todd is no stranger to high scores at all. He has a couple of, I think he's got 3 ABC titles, which is the American Bowling Congress tournament. Once a year, it's in a different place. He's a team champion twice with a team around here, and also in all events team champion. So he's got quite an impressive line of statistics on him. Let's watch this shot. He just keeps the ball. Yeah, you got that one outside of second arrow and it hooked right back to the pocket. For the one he went high on the left lane, I think you got it inside of second arrow. You didn't want to do that. Let's watch it here. You should keep this one. He's moving his feet just a couple boards left to make sure he's going to allow for that and get it down the lane a little further. Oh, real good shot. That was a big double. There's only a 3-pin lead, and he got that double. Now he's up by about 13 pins.
And that came after that split in the 4th frame.
Just a minor adjustment. He saw he stood up there, moved his feet. See what Jeff does on this right lane. This will be a key shot for him. He needs to either spin the ball more, and he's getting his hand underneath it, and to send it down the lane so that when it hooks goes to the pocket. I think he did. A little better. Didn't go high through the nose, but still left that 6-pin. Let's watch this one. He got it out further. It's still hooked high. He might have to move his feet a couple more boards, or maybe even a big move and play in a whole different area, because he might have dried out that area with the 2 left-handers. He's had 4 games on his pair already by the left side, so that can change the shot in a hurry, especially with the TV lights.
Well, he was locked on 6 early that first game, that 236. Lane 6 was where he was solid. Lane 5 was the trouble, but it has changed, as Tom's mentioned, and we'll see how the adjustments go on. But any adjustments that Smith does, they're going to have to take place while he's behind here, because Savoy, with those 2 strikes, has put the pressure on.
He's got a 14-pin lead now. Okay, he knows he can strike on that left lane. He just has to do that and hope he can get a 1 or 2 strikes. He wants to make sure he has a chance of winning a 10th frame. Let's watch his shot. Yeah, he got that one out. That lane the ball seems to be going down lane a little bit further when it hooks. It goes to the pocket. Earlier, that was hooking a little bit earlier for him.
Savoy, 7th frame. Look for some help again. I think he's pleased with the result.
He is. He threw that one a little bit harder. As I mentioned, he's just using a urethane ball, which a lot of people have given him some heat about it. It's a real old ball. It has to be about 15 years. He's had it for a long time. Not too many bowlers have been using the urethane stuff, and it doesn't hook as much as these resin balls that people are using now. But it allows him to keep the ball on line. If he leaves anything, he leaves single pins, not too many big splits, and he can just pick up his spares.
And that's the name of the game. As we've gone through today, both bowlers, Smith with 2 strikes only, Savoy with 4, so he has been a little more productive in the strike area. Smith with 4 spares, Savoy with 2, and both with 1 split and open. 8th frame. Mixes them up again.
Just a little bit light. He gives enough a good roll on the ball, gets a lot of revolutions. Let's watch this. I think he just clips the head pin a little bit, and the 5 go to the left. No, the 5 kind of paralyzed. Something hit that back to the right. Doesn't matter to him. He got a strike. He's happy. This is almost a must strike for Jeff right now.
Takes a little extra time. Coming up in the 8th frame, working on a strike. You saw it dive right through.
Yeah, he just never figured that lane out. Let's watch this one again. He threw it harder, just not getting down the lane far enough. He changed his balls for a spare ball. I think he has a spare ball a little bit harder. Maybe he should have used that one on his. It was pretty tough to do. When you're bowling, you're locked in for 2 games. Maybe he lost a little bit of focus when he threw that one in the 10th frame of the 2nd game, and sometimes left lane doesn't have any trouble with. But sometimes when you don't have a match to bowl and you're just going through the motions, you're not focused, you're not mentally ready to go. We watch a shot by Jeff. He didn't seem to have any trouble on his left lane this whole game. It always went down lane a little bit further, good roll. Todd just wants to keep the ball at the pocket, pick up spares. New solid 10, that's okay. All he has to do is spare out, he should win the match.
And looking back to that early strategy, remember Savoy had Smith start on 5, so he will have to finish on 6th.
Which he's had 2 splits on.
Let's see how that dry spot does. He hangs on.
I think he saw it too. He kind of looked over. And there's a dry spot there, and the difference I mentioned is Todd is using a urethane ball. Let's watch this one, and it started to hook. It's almost missing on the left side. The ball started to hook, but it's a urethane ball. It doesn't hook. It doesn't react as much as a resin ball, so it didn't snap away.
157, 132, the score in the 8th.
Let's get a good count with a fill and a 10th. Uh-oh, he didn't throw that one good at all. Crossed over.
That's one of those where he threw it bad enough that he came out okay.
Let's watch this shot. I think he just pulled up on it and just pulled it. Oh, he left the second arrow right away. But he only left a 6-pin. He picked up a spare, and he needs 7 to shut out Jeff.
Oh, he gave it the room the other way that time.
Let's watch this shot here by Todd. He will make sure he didn't hit that hook spot. That hook spot's not on the left lane, so nobody told him that.
That's right. Forgot which lane he was on there for a moment. Well,
he needs 7 pins, 6 pins to force Jeff to get all of them to tie, 7 to shut him out. Oh, he went on the left side of the lane just to get 7 pins. They have a good time down there.
Well, you're seeing a little bit of everything today.
Last time we were on television show at Earl Brown, the scores were pretty high, and the bowlers just had to find a way to strike because it was going to be up there, and they could just relax. Now it's a whole different game. They're moving all around the lane. They're thinking each time. Each shot is a different one. These are really good bowlers out here.
Jeff's up there talking to himself. Let's see.
Oh, well, he hit the pocket, though. I think he would have been happy with that earlier. He had those 2 big splits. If he would have just had 9 spares, and both those 2 times where he had split, he would easily had 190. We could have had a little tough.
Well, we aren't damaging these pins on the spares today, and Todd's just back here shaking his head and laughing. He will move ahead. He's got 193 in the bank, and he's glad that scorecard's filled out. Here's Smith, just finishing out.
Oh, now he gets a strike, 172.
193, 172, and this brings us to the matchup. Carl and Todd, Carl Fietek and Todd Savoy, they bowled in the positioning round. They could not decide a winner. They tied at 238. The rematch when we come back. We're looking for a champion at Village North Lanes. Match number 4. This is the championship match. Todd Savoy moves on, and Carl Fietek. You'll see Carl in just a moment, and remember, along with the prize money, this is for the trip to the U.S. Open.
Looks like Carl's been paying attention, too, realizing that maybe that right lane is a tougher lane and did not want to finish on that lane, make Todd finish on that lane. Todd took a couple of practice shots in between over on another pair, and starts out with a strike there, so maybe he found something.
Here's Carl Fietek, hometown bowler, just down the road, Plymouth, Minnesota.
Carl's the defending Minnesota US Open champion. He won last year at Maplewood Bowl, went on to bowl in Michigan in with the pros in the National BPA Open. Bowled pretty well. I'm not sure exactly how he did. Real good shot, got it out there. He left a solid 10. He didn't seem to have any trouble hitting the pocket in his practice shots either, did he, Dave?
No, he did not at all. But here's the trouble. He spares on the right-hand side.
He changed balls, went to a harder ball, threw it nice and hard at it. Didn't notice anything there.
He no doubt learned his lesson from watching 3 other bowlers struggle with that lane.
As I mentioned, this is the Minnesota US Open Qualifying. This is sponsored by the Minnesota Bowling Proprietors. All the bowling proprietors get together and they chip in and send the top bowler from the state to the National US Open, for the men and the women. This is the men's going on right now. The women's is in another couple of months. So they do a lot for bowling. We had a real good turnout. They sponsored it. Les Wico is the state president of the Minnesota BPA, and the secretary is Mike Monroe. They were here on hand yesterday and today. They're donating the plaques and the prize money, so they've done a lot for this tournament and for bowling in general.
Well, Todd looking at lane 6 there, hoping that it doesn't hurt him too much.
Just hooked a little high. He was lucky to leave a 4-7, throw cross lane at the spare. The shot that Carl threw in the second frame, we didn't get to mention about it, but it's kind of a light ripper and threw the ball real good. I think he's pretty comfortable on the pair so far.
And as I mentioned just before we started this match, 238 was the score that these two put together in the last game of the positioning round. Fietek was ahead of Savoy by 12 pins, and it stayed the same.
Good shot by Todd. Coming a solid 10, 6-pin going right around the 10-pin. Let's watch this. Kept it right on line. He got that just outside the second arrow, a hook down there. Maybe a little bit light, but he'll take that most of the time. Flattens the ball out. Cross lane. He is a real good spare shooter. Of course, he did get a couple lucky ones last game, but he still is a good spare shooter.
And looked at that one a little extra. It just is pulling away from that 10 down there for these right-handers.
Talking about averaging how these two did, Carl averaged 222 yesterday, but he averaged 232 today, and Todd averaged 232 today. And Carl won 9 matches, and Todd won 8.5 matches. So that's why they're first and second. Carl didn't throw that one very well. He kind of pulled up on it, lost his balance a little bit. Feels fortunate just to leave that 4-7 there. So yeah, he got that one. It's out right away. It was off his hand too quick and hooked too soon. He'll change balls, throw cross lane for a spare. Didn't lose any count on it.
He seems to have the right side mastered. And that seems to be the key for the matches today. The strikes come, not as fast as we saw the last time we came to you, but they come. But it's picking up those spares that has been the problem today.
A lot of bowlers out here in the round who are scratch bowlers and bowlers tournament can strike with anybody, but the shot is a little bit tougher, and you got to keep the ball in play and pick up the spares. Not everybody can do that.
Well, the 10 was standing, and he walked in the way, but believe me, it went down. He comes back.
Kind of a half pocket hit where the 6-pin jumped out of the channel and hit it, so good shot.
60 for Carl in the third, strike in the fourth. Savoy just one back, needing a strike.
Do it a little bit harder. Wants to make sure that he doesn't hook high like he did last time over there. And better chance of getting a strike on a light hit, or just leaving a 2-pin or something, which is an easy spare. Threw it down the lane, stay behind it, but you want to make sure it didn't hit that hook spot and go through the nose. Easy spare. Well, they both filled all 4 frames, but Carl not losing any pin count has 60 in the third, and Todd has 58 in the third, so 2-pin match.
Which is new for us today here. 236-151 was the first match, 204-161 the second, both of those with Smith winning, and 193-172 Savoy winning, and this is where it's put in.
He had some pins bouncing all around down there.
His shot puts a little bit to myth the thought that hard, real breaking ball can kick those pins around, because you see Todd, you're not throwing it that hard, but he really works those pins.
Yes, he does. He's had a real good roll on the ball, a lot of revolutions, and doesn't have to have the ball do the work for him. He does it, and so he uses a harder ball to keep it more on line. Carl threw that one. Looks like he came out of it really good. He wasn't sure if he was going to hook high, and a held pocket. Double, big. That was a big shot there. Let's watch this one. Came out of the ball real good. Kept the speed up, which would have held pocket. The last time he was on that lane, I think he threw kind of the same way, but he was a little slack, a little slow on the speed in the hook high.
So it gets the adrenaline pumping there, and Carl can get a little excited watching him down on the other end. When he gets going, he really gets going. Let's see in the 6th frame.
Carl had a 280 game earlier today. Todd had a 3-game stretch where he shot 780. Carl, very intense bowler. Likes that left lane. Good shot.
Well, we may be ready here for a run to the finish.
Let's watch this one by Carl. Real good. Playing right around the second arrow. All of this right in the pocket. Real good shot. Todd trips the 4 for a double.
So we've got
12 pins separating the 2.
And we've got Smith already in that 3rd spot, so he finishes 3rd today, gets the $600, and then he gets the 1 position spot for the U.S. Open, and we're battling on for the $1,200 and that 1 spot.
Todd threw the ball a little harder. He wants to make sure he keeps the speed up so it doesn't hook high and keep it on line, but I think he just got that one out a little bit or didn't catch it all. Yeah, he just kept skating down the lane there. He might have spun it a little bit too much, so he didn't pick up the roll. 2-4-5. If he hits a 2-pin on the right side, it's an easy spare, but he can chop this pretty easily.
Must have
He
it.
goes from the left side of the lane, hits a 2-pin, run of the 5, and a big opening for Carl. And if Carl can get the strike right here, we can really put some pressure on the Todd. He'll take. Let's watch it. Todd went to the left side of the lane, tried to throw it straight down there, but there was too much play on that left side. There was 2 left-handers bowling. Watch this shot by Carl. He didn't throw him very good both times, but he got one that cut a strike on. I think he moved in just a little bit, caught some more oil, and it just kind of skated down the lane. Let's watch this one by Carl here, and he stayed down, stayed aggressive, didn't hook right off his hand like he did the last couple, and he's left the 7. He's the same ball, cross lane for the spare. Better hold. He wasn't sure. He was smiling to himself down there.
Bet he was. Boy, those spares been something today. So now, look up at the score sheet, and we see Carl in control here, but certainly
26-pin lead in the 7th frame. But he doesn't want to let up. If he lets up at all, Todd can jump right up there and catch him. This is his good lane. He needs to get a strike here, so he stays solid on this one. So when he gets to the 10th frame, he knows he can strike on that lane. Good ball. Todd does need to strike now.
159 in the 7th for Fietek.
So Todd,
33 for Savoy.
Todd can strike out for 223. Oh boy. And then the 7-10.
And not a bad shot.
Not a bad shot. It's a real good shot. Let's watch this shot by Todd. Usually you hit light like this and a ball like Todd, the 5-pin will go over into the 7 and went right behind it, and then the 6-pin lay down in front of the 10, and usually you leave one or the other, not both. Where Carl was up on that frame, or that lane last time, he just left the 7 only. It's a bad break. Now the most that Todd can get is 202, and Carl just has to spare in one of the next 2 frames to win. He's going to go up in the 9th frame. He's just going to make sure he throws the ball into the pocket and leave something easy to pick up. Todd says, I'm not going to just give it to you. You're going to have to do something in these next 2 frames.
So if that open in the 7th wasn't enough, coming back Savoy with that perfect shot,
yeah, you
in the 7-10.
Outside a second arrow, through it, just a real good shot.
That's what it should have been, at least in Todd's mind, that shot back in the 8th frame.
Okay, Carl wants to do this right now. He doesn't want to open and have to do something in the 10th frame. He wants to throw the ball right in the pocket, put something behind it, threw it really well. Nice shot. That wrapped it up right there. He's happy. Defended his U.S. Open title. Some people just walked in, too, from another bowling center to come over to him, come over here to just in time to watch Carl win. A lot of his friends.
So back to Troy, Michigan for Carl Fietek. And he's earned it.
He definitely earned it. That didn't even matter at all. He just wanted to make sure he just had to keep the ball on the lane and stay behind the fall line. He just kind of threw it. Didn't catch it all, but he didn't have to. Like I said, he had to keep it on the lane behind the fall line. Sphere doesn't matter, but he gets it anyway. And you can tell he's pretty excited down there. He doesn't show a lot of emotion. He's usually intense, but I know he's happy.
There we go. There's a smile. He's hearing it from some of the crowd.
Yeah.
What does that mean for Carl's plans between now and April? Obviously, it's a long ways off, but how does that make his training and bowling a little different?
Well, he trains and bowls a lot. This is his 3rd CBA title, his 2nd U.S. Open championship. He bowls for the Linz team, as you can tell by his shirt there, and bowls a lot of the scratch tournaments around us, so he'll keep bowling, keep practicing. And he runs a pro shop, on-track pro shop at Texatonka Lane, so he'll see all the new bowling equipment that are coming out. He'll drill them up and practice with them, and he will be ready. He's a great representative for Minnesota to be sending to the U.S. Open.
There he is, 227. Planning that trip.
The $1,200 will help. Along with the $300 entry fee to the National U.S. Open is paid for by the Minnesota Bowling Proprietors, along with $235 expense money. Todd has a choice if he'd like to go. He has to buy his spot. It's a $300 spot, same with Jeff Smith. They can buy their spot to go. That's the only way you can bowl the U.S. Open. You have to get up and qualify through the qualifying tournaments that we have here, like the CBA tournaments.
Well, Todd with 3 in a row to finish out there, but too little too late. Had the trouble in the 7th and the 8th frame, and it's 227 to 202. Carl Fietek, the winner of the CBA stop, and also the winner of the U.S. Open qualifying. We'll be back with the award presentations and talk to Carl in just a moment.
Cable 12 News.
We cover the news from right here in the northwest suburbs.
We bring you the highlights of all the area sporting events. Cable 12 News.
We give you daily coverage of action taken by your city government.
For your convenience, we're on every evening from 4 to 7 and 9 to 11 p.m.
When you need to know what's new in the northwest suburbs,
Turn to Cable 12 News.
we're a part of your community.
Before Santa Claus comes here, he'll be stopping here at Northwest Community Television. Visiting with Santa, showing December 6th through the 21st on Northwest Community Television's channels 35 and 36.
Thanks to Goodwill Job Training, people with disabilities can discover a new day of the week. Payday. Support Goodwill. Our business works, so people can.
Dave Kaiser, Tom Corbett back. We've got a winner, and we've got some money and some awards to present. Tom, take it away.
Hey, thanks, Dave. First of all, I'd like to introduce to you the Executive Director of the Minnesota Bowling Proprietors, Mike Monroe. He'll be helping us hand out the checks. First of all, our 5th place finisher, yesterday he averaged 224. Today he averaged 227, winning 6 matches, and he lost his first match on television. But that's okay. He'll get better as the day goes or weeks go on. He's from Arden Hills. We have $400 for Clark Poelzer.
Clark, again, a veteran of the tournament, and as Tom mentioned, we'll be back again and has bowled quite a bit up to this point. Okay, 4th place.
Okay, our 4th place finisher. Yesterday, in his 10 games, he averaged 234. Today, he averaged 224 for 12 games, winning 8 matches. This was his first stepladder appearance. He's from Mankato. We got $500 for Steve Thompson.
Congratulations to Steve, and we'll see him again, no doubt.
Okay, our 3rd place finisher. He started out like these first 2 matches that we thought he was going to go all the way. And he averaged, I think, 218 yesterday and 216 today. He won 10 of those matches and a couple more on television. He's from Little Falls. He's got $600 for Jeff Smith.
Congratulations to Jeff. Again, some good bowling there. We did think he had the inside line as things got started here, but 3rd game was trouble.
I didn't think he was going to lose, but that's okay. That happens. Okay, our runner-up. Yesterday he averaged 214. Today he averaged 232, winning 8.5 matches. He won 1 on the show. Here he came down. He had a pretty good shot going about the middle of that game. He is a veteran. He's got 5 previous CBA titles. We got $700 for Superior's Todd Savoy. All right.
And Todd as well, one of the 2, along with Jeff Smith, that have qualified for a spot. But now we have the winner who has the spot.
Right. Those Jeff Smith and Todd both get a chance to buy the spot at $300 each. Now their champion gets the $300 spot paid for, gets $235 expense money, along with $1,200 for winning this. Yesterday he averaged 222. Today he averaged 232. He won 9 matches. He was the leading qualifier. He won just 1 match on television here. He looked real solid, real intense. He's our defending champion. He won last year. I know he really wanted to make another trip. We have $1,200 for Plymouth's Carl Fietek.
Carl winning that last match 227 to 202. Carl, why don't you come in the middle here for a second? Just want to ask you a question. How about the lanes today? Obviously, as we went through it, it was a little different than the last time we saw a CBA stop where the scores were real high. What was happening out there on 5 and 6?
I think there was a little bit more carry down in the middle, and the outsides were a little dry. I used a dull ball all day, and it got me through.
What does this mean to you now that you had the experience last year at the U.S. Open? You're going back.
it's just a great feeling. I know what to expect now. I know I got to drill some new balls out, new equipment.
So you'll use the time between now and April to practice a little bit.
Definitely.
All right, congratulations. Nice bowling.
Thank you. All right, way to go, Kyle. Great job.
And Tom, one last note here. Village North, it's been a great weekend for you.
Oh, it was a real good turnout here. We had 141 entries, as we mentioned. This is owned by Kraus Anderson. The general manager of Kraus Anderson Bowling Centers is Dutch Erkenbrock. The manager here at Village North is Sarah Weimer. They did a great job. Everything was perfect. We couldn't ask for a better place. This was great.
All right, Tom, thank you again for helping us out on the tournament. And thank you for watching. Congratulations to Carl Fietek, who will be heading on to the U.S. Open. We'll watch him and the other bowlers. Thanks for joining us once again on Cable 12.